But this is what we're gonna be working on today. There's the Polaris, and this is what I got. The winch that we're gonna be installing today is the Badland 3500 ZXR. I've had really good experience with these from Harbor Freight. They're actually pretty good quality for the price. I think I paid 150 bucks. Alright, so it looks like the first thing we have to do is remove the front bumper. So there's I guess 4 attachment points or 4 bolts. So right here and right here, and of course same thing on the other side. And I may actually take the opportunity to repaint this and make it look nice and pretty. Alright, so now we have a little bit more access to where the winch mount is going to go. And by the way, I hope it gets here on time because it's actually coming out or coming in today. It's being delivered by UPS, and I hope it comes here on time. But anyway, this is where the winch mount is supposed to attach to, and also I hope it fits. Alright, so looking at the instructions, it looks like we have a negative battery cable and the positive. So this goes to the solenoid, so from the battery to the solenoid, negative and positive. The solenoid is over here and it's all color coded, so that's very nice. We'll put that aside. And then these two connect from the solenoid to the actual winch itself, and they're color coded, so that's very, very nice. We've got the so this is the wired controller, handheld. And here's the connection for that. And over here we have the one that, you know, the option to mount it to the ignition or to have it wired to the ignition. So this is the one that you would mount on the cabin. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. I'm thinking it's going to be easier with this and just have it detach and then just kind of connect this somewhere around the dashboard. But I don't know. Now the biggest challenge is obviously running your wires to the battery and all that kind of stuff, because your battery is underneath there and we have to run the wires somewhere underneath there. So let's figure it out. Alright, so this is what it looks like when you remove the little front hood. And one of the nice things about Polaris is that some of these areas are labeled. So this is when you put your winch contactor. So we can put the solenoid there. I don't know why this says fuse box. The fuse box is back there, maybe for a different model. Here's your coolant reservoir, and of course your fan and radiator are underneath there. Again, the biggest challenge, at least for me, it is to figure out how to route the cables. Here's a little option to route some of the cables into the cabin, I'm guessing for the controller. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up having to drill that out, and I'm sure that's what it's meant to be for. So let's figure it out. Alright, so by removing that little panel or that cover, kind of exposes I guess some of the central channel for the wiring and some of the hoses and whatever else is. So that makes it easier. We're gonna route our battery wires through there, so that's gonna be awesome. Now I'm going to go ahead and loosely connect these two, the positive and the negative, to the solenoid, just so that they have something to hang on to and they're not just kind of dangling. So they provide also these little booths. Of course, you have to lose one of the tiny parts somewhere where you can't reach them. Again, just kind of a loose connection for now, just so that we can get things a little more situated. I'm also going to go ahead and feed the yellow and the blue through here. Just to kind of make sure I start situating them, just to kind of make sure that everything's gonna run properly as far as you know, feeding in through little spaces, and make sure they're not running on any moving parts or anything like that. Alright, I've got them all connected now, all corresponding to their color. I've got them already tightened up just to make sure that they don't move around, because I think I've got them in the position to where I can put this. I still don't know how I'm going to fix this. I think I'm going to go with a zip tie route, just because these holes don't quite match, you know, the mounting for the solenoid So, and I don't want to drill, to be honest, on this part. I know I'm gonna have to drill up here, but I don't want to drill down here. So, okay, so it's sort of buttoned up on this side. I've got everything tightened up. The boots are on it, and I went ahead and did the zip tie route through here, and then of course all the way around this plastic piece. I'm not bolting it or attaching it with screws or anything else right now, because I'm not entirely sure if this is going to be the permanent place for it. I may have to move it later on. And also I discovered that there's a little hole here on this radiator overfill hose. So not a big deal, but it's going to have to be replaced. So I'm going to leave this all without completely be 100% fixated into place, just because I know that I'm going to have to get that taken care of. So the next step is going to be, I think, to remove this trim piece up there so I can have access to this, and also I'll be able to connect one of the wires that has to be wired to the ignition switch. So let's get that done. Alright, so this is what it looks like from this end with that piece, trim piece, top dashboard. And this is what we're going to drill. Kind of comes out to that. So we're going to run the remote wires through here. They should come somewhere through here. And of course there's the ignition right there. So I guess I'm going to have to remove the ignition, which I'm not too excited about, to be able to wire that little wire. And of course I didn't realize that I didn't have anything for my drill that would kind of make a hole there, so we're just gonna have to use the Dremel. Here we go. Okay, looks like we're in. Of course that big old hole just for this little wire, but I had to drill it big enough for all this to go through, so yeah, that was just unfortunate. Alright, so in the spirit of impatience, I'm going to go ahead and connect the winch even though it's not mounted. I've got all the cables, or I guess the battery cables, routed. They're connected to the battery. I hope I did it right. I've got all the stuff connected through the dashboard as far as the control cables. They're right here going in through the dashboard. I still haven't figured out how I'm going to I guess make everything look nice and neat from that end, but the solenoid is connected. I've got the winch out here. I'm gonna go ahead and hook up the cables to the winch and just test it out, just to make sure I've got everything connected. Alright, so in theory we're connected, so let's give it a go. Now I've got, so this is the wiring for the remote, which comes out here. Now this is for the handheld remote, and then we're just gonna plug it in and see if it works. All right, moment of truth. We've got, let's see, ignition on. You can hear the fuel pump priming. We've got the out button. Yes. And perfect. So we are good to go. So what I did here is, you know, you've got these little power outlets in the Ranger. So the little wire, the red wire that comes out here, that's supposed to be wired to anything that is powered to ignition. So what I did, and I apologize, again, I'm not an electrician, I went ahead and hooked that wire to this red wire for the power, for the ignition. So obviously if the ignition is off, there we go, ignition off, this is not going to work. So that is dead. So that's kind of the way the system is meant to. In the instructions it tells you that if you don't wire that little red wire to the ignition, it's not going to work. So anyway, here's a different angle of the solenoid, all hooked up, ready to go. But at least we've got the connections, the pain in the bud out of the way. Alright, so now we're starting to button up. I've got the battery connections all done. I've got the cables to the battery, or to the winch, to the solenoid. I've got them zip tied together just to kind of keep them a little bit neater. I've got the dashboard cover in place, and I'm going to start working on, I guess, attaching the center cover right there, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the front. I'm still waiting for the winch mount to get here. It's, according to UPS tracking, is out for delivery, so sometime soon, hopefully. By the way, the number of times that you have to bunk your head is not disclosed. I've done it about 4 or 5 times and it's been awesome. So it's not on the instructions, but something you have to plan for. It's not beer. Alright, so while we're waiting on the winch mount, I think we're going to go ahead and paint that just to make it look a little nicer. We're not going to powder coat it or anything like that. It's just going to be rattle can, just a little bit of paint just to make it not look as worn out. Alright, so finally 6.5 hours late, we have a winch, and there is UPS down the street. Bye UPS. Alright, so now we have the winch installed. By the way, the mount that I went with is the KFI. I'll put the link to the item. I think I bought it on eBay or something like that. So this is on, it's nice and solid, and now we're going to connect the winch and we'll go ahead and put the bumper back on. So KFI supplies you with these. This goes here, and then this is kind of an adapter plate because these two holes don't quite match the Fairlead roller for ATVs and UTVs and all that kind of stuff. So it's a more there's not a lot of space. So this is kind of the adapter plate, so you can actually attach both bolts of the roller. Alright, so now we got these two attached, the adapter plate. Alright, so quick screw up. I wasn't supposed to attach these just yet before putting on the Fairlead roller, so let's try this again. Alright, so that was a pain in the butt for sure, but now we've got the plate, the adapter plate, and the Fairlead on there, and now it's time to get the last roller in and pretty much finish up with the hook. So let's do that. Alright, we got a hook right here, and now we reel in. So alright, so finally coming up to a finished project. There's the wires, put some zip ties, just kind of hold them a little bit nicer together, get them away from the radiator a little bit. So there's zip tie right here to the side, and then over here, oh, there's some birds in my garage. Okie dokie, some doves. Yeah, it's 2 of them, so that's for luck. There we go. Yeah, that works. Just don't poop on anything. Anyway, and then the wires, there we go. You can kind of see them there to the battery. And then to the winch, you won't be able to see them, but they're in there. They're kind of tucked in, and they're nice and zip tied together. So now I'm going to put the hood on, and we can call it a day. Alright guys, so that is pretty much it for the Badland's winch installation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned with me, because again, this is kind of the second time I do something like this, and it kind of worked out. So unfortunately it took the whole day. On my defense, not because of me, but because we had to wait for the winch to be delivered. That took about 6 hours or so. Otherwise this could have easily been done in 3-4 hours maybe tops for somebody like me without much experience. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Check us out on Facebook, Muddy Tiger Outdoors. We'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.